Once again, good morning. It's Daybreak Africa, Chini from Studio Sayondo City. I remain Ezekiel, Ogar. This morning we're talking on creative design with our guest, not in the house, of course. We ask a person of Gideon, Ikhenoba. He's also a creative artist. This one we describe in creative design. Its wholeness is spread in the global markets, its marketing strategies, how the state of the nation is influencing the output of the creative world, its challenges, advantages, disadvantages, and how to groom one to acquire the skill fully. Like I said, we have Gideon Ikhenoba via Skype. Good morning to you, Gideon. Gideon, are you with us? Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Good morning.
Yes. Gideon, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right, Gideon, we have a whole lot of things to talk about. But before we dive into them fully, I would like us to really understand what it has been before the digitalization age. How has been how does the creative design and the whole graphic thing looks before we emerge into what is it called, civilization of our age right now?
Okay. One thing you should know is that graphic design is basically meant for communication. Do you understand? What drives communication in this age and time is graphic design. So in those, just imagine the way it was then. If you were going to see a signboard, you discover that they will paint it and just get a plastic and paint it. But now you see banners, you see billboards, you see digital billboard screens. But in those days, it was just paintings. You see, I can remember, let me give you a vivid example. Those days when we used to go and barb our hair, you see, they would paint somebody with clipper. That was what graphic design was then. Get me? So, but now it has digitalized. We now have banners, we now have photography, we now have social media, we now have so many other things driving graphic design and the creative industry in general.
Now, how professional is creative designing? Because it's more like it's considered to be a skill rather than a profession.
So one thing I will tell you is that it's a battle that we're facing because creativity is objective. So what can be creative to me might not be creative to you. Do you understand? But although we have universal standards, right? So in Nigeria currently, we do not really have a body that regulates or governs the creative industry. No, I can just, there's no gatekeepers. I can wake up in the morning and decide, okay, I want to start doing music. I can wake up tomorrow in the morning and say I can start doing arts and this without even going to school, basically. So there's no yardstick to judge that this person is creative or whatever. As long as you have your audience and your audience like what you are giving to them, then you are creative.
Would you consider it a profession or a skill?
It's both ways. It's skill and a profession. Because there are people that are skillful but they don't take it as their profession.
That's another side of it. Now,
let me ship this in. I never knew I was skilled until I was hungry. So when I was hungry, I discovered that I had the skill of graphic design. So I picked it up and started designing. So yeah.
So hunger was a catalyst for you.
It was a motivation there.
All right.
Greatest.
Now, when we talk about graphic, we talk about a lot of big players in the world, and mostly we look at when most people say, okay, we need to see some software and the rest coming in to help you become who you want to be. Now, talking about these people when we look up to, especially outside Nigeria, in the world ranking, do you think Nigeria as a country has really inculcated this in their curriculum? And if it has been inculcated in their curriculum, how well have they taken it so far?
Currently, Nigeria has not inculcated graphic design in their curriculum. Let me tell you why. I actually have a degree in fine and applied arts, and I majored in graphic designs and communication. As at the time I left school, we were still doing those olden days type of graphics in graphic design. That's what we were doing. We were painting. We were still drawing, sketching, doing those olden days pattern. Meanwhile, our counterparts outside the country were learning softwares like Adobe Illustrator, learning softwares like Photoshop and stuff like that software. So Nigeria, we are still behind. Most of the graphic designers we have now are actually self-taught designers. There are people that learned it themselves. Like currently myself, I learned it myself. Nobody taught me. It was hunger that taught me graphic design.
Okay, you said it has not been inculcated in our curriculum, in our schools. What do you think are the limitations that have stopped them so far? Is it the fund? Is it that they have not seen the good side of it? What is it that has really stopped them from doing so? Because from what you've said so far, it's a good thing. Despite you said hunger was your own motivation. Now, we need a motivational factor that might possibly make them feel like this is a thing that we need to embrace. So far, why they have not done it? What do you think has been their limitation purpose?
So I'll tell you, I'll give you one example. First of all, most of the VCs we have in our Nigerian universities or schools, they are old men. They feel the courses they should be there should be accounting, medicine, banking and finance. They've not seen, there are so many schools that don't even offer fine arts. And graphic design is under fine arts. Although we have some startups currently that teach these skills. But one of the big hindrances is that these people that are the gatekeepers, the people who have in our academic sector, they don't actually see the importance of training people for graphic design or in the creative industries. Secondly, most of the top creatives we have, their creativity really flows from talent. So if you are talented, it's good. So they don't actually feel you can learn it. They feel this one I follow come. It's just God to give it to you. No. So they don't see that. We don't see that you can actually learn it in school. You can actually learn it in school. There are people that have taught graphic designs that they cannot design before. They met me. I took them from zero to wherever it is they are now, basically.
Now, I tend to wonder the level of acceptance this graphic design tend to, take or get amongst the youth particularly. Do you think that's been widespread?
Yes, especially during COVID-19. Yeah, during COVID-19, because I'll tell you this, everybody went online. Businesses, churches, everybody went online. And what drives the online space is graphics. There's a flyer for everything. I want to open a school, I will design a flyer. I want to open a business, I will design a flyer. A logo. There are things that are graphic designs that we don't even know that are graphic designs, like user interface and the rest. So it is widely accepted at the moment, but things that we don't actually even know is graphic design. I can remember 2014, a friend told me, I want to go and learn graphic design. I'm like, what is graphic design? So it's like, all these flyers we are seeing around, these are graphic designs. So we know we need them, but we don't actually know what it is. But I can tell you for a fact that graphic design is being accepted in Africa and Nigeria. So,
okay, I want to understand this. Firstly, you made mention of the pandemic era, which was 2020, which was a close down for a lot of businesses and also was an eye-opener for a lot of businesses. Some people went into a lot of things, creativities, as an example with the graphic thing that we're talking about. Now, I believe that most governments will want to go into a thing when they feel it's profitable. Now, let's look at the economic side of it. How economical can this be, and how economically can it add value to our economy in Nigeria, especially as a nation? Because when we talk about, I want us to bring it down to our country. How has it been a thing that, okay, it can bring money to us, it can help our economy, it can boost this economy, at least for the government to be able to see it? How can it help?
okay, let me tell you something. I was going through a government skill acquisition program, and I saw several skills: soap making, bead making, makeup, but I did not see graphic design. But what I saw that maybe what brought the awareness to me was actually a graphic design. I saw a flyer designed by a graphic designer. Do you understand? So the thing is that the government currently, like I said before, they don't know how important it is. That's the reason they're not channeling their efforts in that aspect. But we let you know that every company needs a graphic designer. Every organization needs a graphic designer. So it's a very lucrative field. But they have to shine light on it. Somebody need to tell them before they will know. Basically, you need to know that there's gold in your land before you can go and harvest the gold or go and pick the gold out. So currently in Nigeria, we don't know the importance. That's a problem. But I can tell you for a fact, graphic design changed my life, changed the life of my family. Do you understand? If you had seen me in 2014, you would have not even interviewed me. You would have run away. Do you understand? When hungry was mamaing me. But whatever it is I have now is true graphic design. And I have other people that have trained. I have so many other designers that are doing well because of graphic design, basically.
I really tend to wonder, I enjoy your passion, it's really beautiful, but I tend to wonder how secured is this skill or profession as it may be. How secured it is. There isn't a room for, say, promotion or maybe cash increase per se. It's more like it's contractual. If nobody actually tends to contract you, then there's the tendency you just may staff. So how secured is this skill or profession?
Please come again. I didn't get the question.
I was asking how secured this profession or skill is exactly. Okay. Because it brings no room for, say, promotion. It has no structure, organizational structure per se. Are you with me?
Okay. Yes. So the thing is that with graphic design, it's not about learning the skill. It's about marketing the skill. So I'll give an example. From the comfort of my home, I can actually just make a random design and post on my WhatsApp status or whatever. You can see it and be like, I like this design. Can you design for my brother and my sister? That is the way it is, basically. So the security here is that as long as you have people that are seeing your design, as long as you have business people that are seeing your design, people will always want your design. You get me? The government, I will tell you this. This tech you're talking about, graphic design is one of the most sought after tech skill. Do you understand? One of the most sought after tech skill. People actually need graphic designers. People actually need graphic design in everything we do. So it's a very if you learn this skill, if you are creative, you can never suffer at all. Because if you take me to Zimbabwe, you take me to Sambisa, you take me to anywhere, as long as I see that somebody needs a flyer, I can create, basically. So
that's a very good one. Although you made mention of something very interesting in the opening stage of this conversation. You said hunger was a driving force. But outside hunger, I know there was passion for it. Because I believe there's nothing you can do without really having a good amount of passion to drive you. Because there are times that things might get boring. Now, it's going to be a personal question. What really brought you into graphic designing outside the hunger that you mentioned? And how have you been able to sustain and grow to be able to teach people, that is putting your knowledge on the table for others to be able to get from? What has been your sustainability? What brought you into it? That's all I want to know for now.
So when I got admission to school, I was supposed to study mass communication, but they gave me fine and applied arts. I was confused because I could not draw. I felt fine arts was just about drawing. When I got to school, I discovered that there had several specializations in fine arts. We had ceramics, we had painting, we had sculpture, we had textile, and we had graphic design. So graphic design was basically with computers and the rest. So I'm like, this could be easy for me since I cannot draw. So I picked graphic design and I was creating graphic designs then in school, assignment and the rest. So a friend of mine contacted me one time and was like, please, can you help me design a logo? I will pay you for the logo. I'm like, wow, this logo that this play will have been played, somebody can pay me for it. So I did it and the person paid me. I'm like, so if I get 5 people that can pay me, I can start living my life. So doing IT, I moved to Lagos. So when I moved to Lagos, I discovered that it's actually something you can do for a living. You can become an entrepreneur by yourself, or you can work for somebody. So I'm like, okay, that was where the passion came from, because I discovered that I could actually break free. Just and then again, I actually liked designs. I liked beautiful things. I like to see beautiful things. Do you understand? So it was an opportunity for me to show myself and like express my creativity in another way. So that was what like actually started graphic design for me. So when it started coming, okay, so I went in full time. So I learned all the softwares I could learn. I bought courses. I interned under several artists several graphic designers in Nigeria, just to like try to improve my skill, because I discovered that is when you are good, people will look for you. Do you understand? If you are good, your work will speak for itself.
Sure.
Do you understand? So I just tried to better myself and create more designs. I discovered that there's a gap. I went to school to study graphic design, but I did not learn graphic design in school. So I knew that there were other people that needed to learn graphic design too, but they could not get it in schools. So I created a startup called Banga Academy, where I basically train graphic designers or anybody that wants to learn graphic design to just come learn, not just graphic design, UI, UX design, web design, just the creative industries in all.
As you were talking now, you made mention of a lot of aspects and the driving force that really helped you. Now, the question is this: the different aspects of this graphic design, what are the different aspects, their level of complexity, and how has it been able to help, especially when you want to bring them to general markets? How important can they be with their different levels?
So there are different aspects of graphic design for different reasons. So we have UI UX design. This is part of graphic design that is basically for tech and websites and the rest. So you hear people call themselves tech bros, techists. You can become a UI UX designer because you're a graphic designer. So we also have designs for brand design or visual identity designs. So these people basically create logos, brand accessories. We also have designs for marketing and advertising. This is also a part of graphic design. So you see flyers, you see posters. These are designs for marketing and advertising. We also have photography. Photography is a part of graphic design. We also have videography. Videography is a part of graphic design. We also have cinematography. This is a part of graphic design. So it's a very, very, very wide field. We also have what we call user experience design. user experience design, the way you create, the experience you have when you are using a product. So a graphic designer can also help in creating a user interface or user experience design. So, and I would say this: there's no barrier to entry. The only barrier to entry we have is if you are lazy, because you can pick up your phone today and just go online, Manga Academy or whatever, or go to YouTube, go to anywhere. You can see courses that you can learn. Do you understand? There's no barrier to entry at all. There's no fee you have to pay. No, you can just go online, go on YouTube, and you can learn.
Well, on the table of barriers, I want to ask, what are your challenges as a creative designer?
So my challenges are the creative. First one I will say is number one, creative block. That sometimes that your head will just be empty. You will do whatever it is you want to do. That sometimes it will be empty. Second thing I face is subjectivity. There's some designs that that can be fine to me in my mind. I've killed it, but somebody will see it and the person will be like, no, doesn't like it. In line with that, and that challenge I face again is client expectation, because sometimes most of the designs I create are for clients. So I might create the design as an artist and I like the design, but the clients might not like it. That's another challenge I face. And that challenge I face again is trends. One thing you should know is that what was the trend, the design trend in 2005 is not the design trend in 2006 or 2007. So if I learned design in 2007, I need to learn and relearn and unlearn constantly. And that challenge I will face as a Nigerian, let me say this again, is economic factor, basically, because there are things we want to do as creatives that we cannot get funding to. We cannot really fund them because of our purchasing power or the things that our access to finance. You get me? So these are one of the few challenges we face as creatives in general.
You made mention of finance, and I also believe also that going into a business, of course, you must believe that it's going to be profitable. Are you with me?
Yes.
Now, talking about how it has influenced the global market, the graphic design, you've already made mention that most companies do need graphic design, but there has also been a barrier that why some of them, especially in Nigeria, they have not been inculcated into our curriculums. So now, for you as a person you're a graphic person, you are given a proposal to write that this is a thing that is going to be good for us. How do you defend this and make me fall in love? How do you defend it to make a company fall in love and possibly put it in the curriculum of schools for them to know that, okay, this is a thing that is going to also bring money to the table of the country?
First of all, what you should know is that graphic design is a skill for the future. There are some skills that are for the past. Graphic design is a skill for the future. Where we are going to, we're already there already. We're already digitalized. Everything we are doing is online. Everything we are doing is in the social space, is on the internet. And what drives the social space or the internet is graphic design, like I said before. User interface design is under graphic design. So when you open Facebook or you open Instagram, whatever you see there is actually graphic design. The buttons, these are things that this is where we are going to. A time will come where you want to go to church, it's on your phone. You want to chop, it's on your phone. You want to sleep, anything you want to do is on your phone. You want to make new friends on your phone. So what drives that market or what drives that sector is graphic design. It is very, very important. That is why you see foreign companies actually outsource their staffs or outsource their roles to Africans. Most of us graphic designers, we're not looking for Nigerian companies again, because those people over there, they are hot cake basically. So I will let them know that this is the skill for the future. This is where we are going. We're already there already. Nigeria, we are late. Other countries have already adapted these things already. We have masters. The countries in let's say America and the rest, we have schools that actually have PhD in graphic design, masters in graphic design. But our first degree program in graphic design is still 1996 graphics. Do you understand me? So we the new school graphic designers are the ones that will tell them basically, because they don't know these things. You get me? You can see, for instance, now if you go online and check some of the national websites, poorly designed, poor interface. For instance, see our Naira, we designed of recent. People were complaining about it. If you had good graphic designers that handled that Naira, people will be happy that, okay, we have a good Naira, we have good. Do you understand? So these are just one of the flaws. This is a public one. The Naira error that we experienced last year December. So basically,
that's a very huge call there. Now, I will also ask you a personal question. you made mention earlier of is it a creative block that most people do have, especially you are not getting anything. Talking about atmosphere, talking about favorable atmosphere, and you've already made mention that Nigeria as a country does not really inculcate it in their curriculum. And you did
Yes.
study it in the school. You also came out to study it. What has been a kind of atmosphere that has driven you to help you so far that you can also be able to say you will prescribe for most people that want to learn under you?
Okay. Let me say something. This is my personal trick. This is what works for me. It might not work for anyone, but this is what works for me. The word creativity comes from an Italian word. It's creo. It means to create. And the first person to ever create a thing is God. So the Holy Book says God created us in His image and His likeness, meaning that He wants us to create. Everybody's a creative. So whenever I have a creative block, I just take time on my own to meditate or think. Just walk away from the whole process and just relax. Once I connect with myself, I'm good to go, because it's not you are creating something from what is not existing. You can tell me I want a flyer, I can just use my brain and just come up with something. This thing is not ordinary. Do you understand? It's not ordinary. Although there are things that boost your creativity. For instance, if you are surrounded with so many creative people, you'll be creative too. When you spend your time instead of watching other irrelevant things, you go online and see the way other people designs. If you check my phone now, if I have 80 pictures, 78 are designs, because I want to be motivated at every time. So I'll just take A from here, B from here, C from here, and that is it. So creative block is one of the biggest challenges we face, but it's easily solvable. It's easily solvable.
Right.
For me, it was where you made it sound as if the entire curriculum in our education sector was alien or maybe totally out of date. Is it more like maybe there should be little touch here and there that could be recommended, or is it totally out of date?
Please come again.
Our curriculum at some point made it sound as if we didn't only have flaws in it, but it was totally out of date. Now, is it that we just have maybe little twists we should try to repair or amend at some point, or is it totally out of date, totally for students?
Okay, let me say this. I feel it's totally out of it. In Nigeria, we have so many universities, but we don't have up to 12 universities that have fine art as a department. We don't have up to. So and graphic design is all down fine art. In fact, the driving creative department in Nigeria is the fine and applied arts department, or the theatre arts department. But we don't have so many schools that even have fine and applied arts department. I actually want to do my masters in Nigeria, and most of the schools I'm applying for, they don't even have fine arts in these schools. It's an error. So I feel that the educational sector, the educational ministry have to look into, because this is the skill for the future. In those days, if you want to hire marketers, you just hire marketers that can go on the streets. But now you have to hire a social media marketer, because we're not going into social media. What drives social media is the flyers, is the content you post, is the videos you create. Do you understand? Marketing has changed. I can actually market my business without printing one single flyer. I'll just go online, create a content, post it on Instagram. That is where we're going to. That's where we're going to now. Do you understand me? We're going into that digital era. But most schools, they are still behind. We don't even do these things there.
So at this point where our education sector are, in your words, way behind, is it safe to say Nigeria actually have a problem when it comes to adopting innovations and technology generally?
You are very correct.
It was a question, it wasn't a statement.
So this is my advice. They should partner with private sectors. There are so many private sector companies, SMEs, non-profitable organizations that actually train people in these things. Since our institutions are not, like I told you before, I said I saw a government skill acquisition form. I saw DJ there. I saw bead making there. But I did not see graphic design. I did not see web design. In 2023. So you are taking us back to beads, taking us back to, do you understand? And this is the skill for the future. Do you understand? So, but if they can partner with private-owned companies, private educational institutions that can actually train this, then that is the way forward. Because the government now, we have so many problems. So, fine art is creative, graphic design is one of the least things I'm thinking about. So let them leave that one for us. We will train them. So the partner with us and we will train them. Yes.
All right. You made mention of a lot of things, especially talking about they should leave them for you. You will train them, which is a very interesting one. But now, I want to ask you your journey so far as a graphic designer, people you've trained so far, people you've helped so far. What were the challenges like, and how did you overcome them and be able to pass your knowledge to them?
First of all, graphic design now is driven with computers and laptops and the rest. So I met people that said they want to learn graphic design. So come with your laptop, they don't have laptop. So I will now start searching for funds to like empower them with laptops or phones. Currently now, there are people that make designs with their phones, right? So fund money. There are people that want to learn graphic design, but they don't have computers, they don't have these things. Meanwhile, if you want to learn beads making, all you need to just go to the market and buy. Sorry, I'm saying if there are bead makers in the house, I'm sorry. So if you just go and buy 150 naira bead, you started making beads. But so finance basically is one of the constraints we have. People want to learn, but they don't have access to these things. And I can bet you, in 1 year, in 2 years, or in less than a year, you can make that money back if you're already a skilled graphic designer. So finance is one of the major problems we face, major challenge.
All right. Now, we are seriously running out of time, but I must say, before we go, I want you to give words for the society, the word for government, and what for people in your field concerning how we need to empower ourselves to make graphic design a known thing in every organization, in every school, for it to give us that future that you said is the thing for the future, and bring that future to us for us to enjoy.
So I'll say this. Graphic design is a skill for the future. It's a digital skill. It's a global skill. It is a boundary breaking skill. I'm somewhere in Lagos, I'm somewhere in Warri, and I've designed for companies all over the world. I've designed for companies all over the world because of graphic design. I'm sorry to say this. If I was doing beads making, I'm not sure I would have gone to where. I'm not sure my bead would have gone to.
Making as a person.
I'm not sure my bead would have gone to where. So this is the skill for the future. So I would advise everybody learn a computer-aided design skill, a computer-aided skill. If it's not graphic design, learn web design. If it's not web design, learn tech, learn coding, learn something that, because this is where we are going to. Everybody will now have a website very soon. Everybody will now have an online store very soon. Everybody's going online. So for you not to be left behind, please learn the tech skill or hire somebody that has a tech skill in your organization. And please, schools, teach children, teach people, teach undergraduates these tech skills, these graphic designs, these creative skills, because you need to be creative. Because creativity is what stands you out. Is the differentiation, is what differentiates you from the rest. So once you have a creative designer in your team, you are good to go.
All right, from the word for the government also.
The word for the government. See, graphic design is a skill for youths. The best empowerment you can give to a youth now is train them with a tech skill, like I was saying before. The government needs to partner with private sector, because I can bet you in Lagos and so many other parts of the country, there are so many institutions, private owned, that actually teach these skills for free. When I started Back Academy, I started teaching for free. If I had somebody, or if the government partnered with me, number one is to give me access to more youths. And now we're empowering more youths, and more money is coming to our economy. We're exporting our talents to several industries, several other places, basically. So the government should try to partner with the private sector in this field, because you cannot try to do it alone. You understand? What's it called? NEPA was privatized. So many other sectors are even oil. Our national resources is not privatized. We have Dangote's refinery now. So this thing, bring it to the private sector, who would handle it better.
All right.
Thank you very much for coming on the program, Gideon.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, viewers, I'm very sure you've learned one or two things, especially when the speaker that came on the program said is a skills for the future. The future is already here, if you ask me. And I believe every human being do use a phone, do use a system. Whatever it is that you find your hand to, try to learn a skill that is going to sustain for the future, because what we so-called a white-collar job are not really going to sustain every time. You need something that you can fall back on. The youth, grab it, make use of it, and become that strong man, strong woman for the future. From us, I will be handing over to our Lagos studio, which we believe they have more juicy package to give to you. I remain Micheal Obagiri.
And well, personally, I believe a skill is a skill. Be it beats making or graphic designing. I remain Ezekiel Ogar. Have a wonderful day.